Hello YouTube, I'm here today to discuss Disventure Camp. This is going to be about Season 4, Carnival of Chaos. I've been watching Disventure Camp for a few years now. I've seen all the spin-offs and everything, and I haven't discussed it before, and that is for a particular reason. I'm hesitant to discuss indie animation on here because they are passion projects. They're usually smaller teams. They're not a professional production, and I don't want to speak poorly of something while it's still growing and finding its footing. But since I'm here to discuss Disventure Camp, I can pretty happily say I think they very much found their groove this season, and I feel comfortable talking about it because I do have a lot of positives and a lot of praise to give the show. So even though I've enjoyed seasons in the past, I didn't want to do a full in-depth review because I worry it would come off a bit negative, and you could tell they were still finding their footing a bit. But this season really feels like the season Odd Nation Cartoons has arrived, and they know what they're doing, even with a few flaws here and there. So without further ado, I'll just hop into talking about the characters of Disventure Camp Season 4, and I'll first start with the host. Coming into the season, we had Trevor and Derek as the host, and they've been fine. They're not my favorite host ever, but you know, a cute little gay couple, fun. They didn't take away much from the show, but they didn't like pop on the screen. And they had Emily as their assistant at the start of the season, but slowly and surely, after what happened in All Stars, which I'm glad we just kind of brushed under the rug and didn't focus on too much, Emily's been working her way back into the fold, winning back everybody's trust, and by the end of the season, she's pretty much taken over the show, and she's going to be the new host next season. I think Emily is a fantastic choice for host. I think of all the different staff characters the show has had, Emily is definitely my favorite. I think she's just the right mix of messy without taking away too much from the show. I think she'll be perfect, and I hope next season that it's really just her and we don't have much of a host subplot anymore. Let's just let Emily have it now. Overall, I'd say as a trio, it was a pretty fun outing for the host. It wasn't too overbearing or anything. Emily just totally stole the show though. Trevor and Derek had their time. Let's let Emily shine. Now I'll get into the cast that actually competed on this show, and I'll go in elimination order. The first boot was Alessio. Pretty typical first boot. He didn't really fit in very much. He had a bit of a storyline where he was getting his creative spark back, and there was inklings of like a ship between Alessio and Logan at the start. I thought that was a little fun, but he's memorable enough to leave a mark on you, but not memorable enough to where you really miss him when he's gone. And we did have a few episodes with the eliminated contestants throughout the season. We had 26 episodes, so they had time to fill. And Alessio got a bit more focus in those. It was appreciated. I'd say those were probably his best character work. And he even got shipped with Natalia, which I think is a cute ship, but I will say this one little note. I think we have too many ships in this show. I feel like pretty much every character who came in single in some way, shape, or form, they ended up in some sort of ship, and this isn't Love Island. We're not spoofing Love Island here. So I think we can reel that in a little bit, you know, save some people to be single for a return season. And even on the eliminated contestants too, I think not everybody needs to have a full storyline, but we had 26 episodes, so fair if you want to give everybody something to do. And Alessio, he was given good stuff, so I can't complain, but I'm not writing home about his character, and I don't really need to see him again. But if he popped up again, I'll be like, hey, Alessio, I hope you didn't steal a spot from somebody I like more, but hey, welcome. Let's see how you do. The next boot is Ted, and his elimination was pretty funny because coming into this season, he's this big poker player and he's going to be all manipulative and strategic, yet he got outdone by the housewife. Oh, I loved seeing the poker player fail. It was pretty funny. Then in the eliminated contestant episodes, he just seems like this fun, goofy guy. Yeah, he's cool. I never need to see him back again. I don't think there's really much we can get from this character. He's never gonna be some mastermind strategist like he seems to think he is. Poker doesn't translate to everything. A lot of poker is luck. But, you know, you can get your money elsewhere, Ted. Ted is one of the characters I really will not remember at all from this season. What is there to acknowledge about Ted? The next boot is Diego, and this was the first boot of the season that really shocked me, and this is where I realized, oh, this season's gonna be a step up, and we're not playing around this season. Because at the start of the show, it was seeming like, yeah, Diego and Spencer, they're gonna be the new Tom Jake. That's what's gonna happen here. But then Spencer boots Diego. Plot twist! Diego just seems like this nice guy who just wanted a relationship, but he went for the wrong one. I was glad to see him get the boot because nice guys don't always make the best TV. And then he had this element of drama with Spencer and being eliminated. So in the eliminated contestant episodes, we got to see that play out a little bit. And I think Diego was very respectable in those episodes. He never let Spencer get one over on him again, but he stayed classy. He just seems like a nice guy, and his scenes were pleasant, and he was definitely a memorable character on the season. I don't really need to see him again, but if I saw him again, it would be nice. And what else is he gonna do? Is he gonna get in another relationship? Is he gonna get to show his own strategy? The next boot was Tristan. They are a non-binary character. That was a nice thing to see. You don't see that in a lot of shows. They had the white face makeup and the black outfit, so you might be thinking they were gonna be a little standoffish, a little cold, but Tristan was really nice, had a very sweet heart, and the people loved them. I thought Tristan was such a burst of positivity. This is a show I like to see drama in, so it started to concern me a little bit. The whole Vibe Tribe thing, I was not really feeling it, so I was very relieved when Tristan got the boot here, actually, because I thought them leaving really opened up a whole new game. We saw some comedic moments from Tristan in later episodes, and those were fine. Tristan had a whole arc about not having a place to go after the show now. Tristan did have like a little relationship with Benji, which again, it just, I don't think it needed to happen here, but okay. Okay. I don't hate it, but I wasn't dying for more. And I was a little upset to have that get so much focus when we were in the final stretch of the game. I was hoping for these eliminated contestants to unearth some stuff, some hurt feelings maybe from being eliminated more, but instead Tristan, the pre-merge boot, got so much focus in the last eliminated contestant episode with a lot of end gamers. For what the content was, it was fine. It just wasn't exactly what I wanted. Like, hello, we just had one of the biggest moments of the season with Isabel cutting Marissa, and why wasn't like that the focus of the episode instead of making this random coupling happen? I appreciate some fan service, don't get me wrong, but just not exactly what I wanted. And overall, I'd say I'm not the biggest Tristan fan. I think this is a good character, doesn't appeal to me very much, and I would not be very excited to see Tristan return because what drama are you gonna give me? You're just not the drama character, and I really want to see the drama and the mess. I'm never gonna get that from Tristan. The next boot was Linda. This is the queen. Oh, she ran the pre-merge. She gave me the strategy. She gave me the drama. She gave me the storyline. She was doing all of this because her family at home doesn't like her and she just wanted to prove herself, but she just never could prove herself. It was so unfortunate. She was giving us villainess. Oh, just such a scene stealer. And shout out the voice of Linda. Like, this was the performance of a lifetime. Linda was playing both sides of the Girls Alliance and then the guys. She kept everything really fluid on that tribe and definitely made it the far more interesting tribe. We ultimately saw Linda's big move when she started to buddy up with Marissa more, but she could just never trust Anastasia. So she cut Marissa to get at Anastasia. Ho ho ho. That was one of the most dramatic moments of the season for sure. This Linda-Anastasia rivalry, it came to its own head when Anastasia finally got Linda out, but then Anastasia sacrificed herself to go in this duel against Linda for one of them to return into the game, and Linda lost. Linda always losing. So tragic. And I was so upset to see her go. It was her time, and I did want Anastasia to stay, but I didn't want to lose either of them. I wanted this to just go on all season. Now, we did, in the return episode, see Linda get to prove herself a bit more. She did really good in the return challenge episode. She'd been training with Marissa, and I'm glad they made up. I do like their friendship. But honestly, after Linda's elimination, she never really got much time to shine. I feel like of every character on this season, Linda is the one I'm most craving a return from. She wants it too at the end of the season, where Emily was telling them next season's fans versus favorites. Linda was like, oh, pick me, I'm ready. But it's not her, we know that cast already. Devastating. Give Linda another chance. She is hands down one of my favorites this season, and I really do think she should get a lot of credit for making this pre-merge as spectacular as it was. The next boot was Ivy, and I did not like Ivy at first. I thought she just seemed very stuck up, like she was putting on an act. She got in this vibe tribe and they were all, oh, good vibes. We're morally superior to everybody because we're nice to each other. But then we had the musical episode and we saw Ivy start to crack in that episode. I think that was where she was at her most interesting. I really enjoyed when I just realized what I'm about to say is gonna sound crazy, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I really enjoyed when she had her meltdown. It just gave me so much depth to her character. I feel like there was a lot of complexities to Ivy that you could definitely see in the show, but they weren't really explored much, which makes it a little unfortunate. She went pre-merge, pre-jury, but I didn't really need to explore it that much. I'm glad it's there. I'm glad there were elements of it. There could be more to untap in a return season. I don't really need to see a return season. Like, you're not Linda, sorry. But for what she was, there was some good to Ivy, even though her scenes weren't the most exciting for me this season. I'm just not a Vibe Tribe fan, sorry. They're not giving me the mess. Though they did give me the mess after Tristan left when they were like trying to sabotage the challenge. Yes, Ivy, get to it. And Ivy does have her ship with Zayd. Cute. I don't really care. I think Ivy pops a little more than Zayd, even though Ivy left first. But it's fine. I'm not rah 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 Ivy Zayd, Vibe Tribe Nation. But okay. Okay. Good. I'm glad everybody has options for who to root for. This is not the one I was taking. Though I think the unfortunate thing about her not making merch though is I would have liked to see more of her with Anastasia. In the episode where they were paired together, that dynamic was pretty interesting to me. But you know what, Ivy, I guess you can feel good about yourself that you gave actresses a good name after Rhea. The next boot was Benji. Benji was just a comedic relief character. He didn't fit in, and it was made a constant point. He'd make awkward jokes. Nobody would find him funny, and that awkwardness was pretty funny. He didn't pop to me very much, and I think him getting the boot here was very fitting. I guess he had more strategy in him, and in a different cast, like fans versus favorites, he could get in the mix more. I don't think Benji's ever going to be my favorite character, just not the type of character I'm ever going to gravitate towards. But for the purpose he served, it was fine. It was fun. He's all right. Like, I'm not upset about him returning for next season, but I wouldn't have been marching to Odd Nation Studios demanding his return. His main thing was the dynamic with Hannah. I think Hannah had a far more interesting dynamic with Amelie. I don't know, I think Hannah had more interesting dynamics than she did with Benji, but like, it was cute. Benji, he just wasn't a main character this season, so he just didn't pop. Very much so a fitting first merge boot. The next boot is Richard, and he was the most useless character this season. He's probably the character I'll forget the most. Even besides like Ted, I think I'll forget Richard most. Just, he was here, he was supporting everybody. He would get mad at people for flip-flopping, but then he wouldn't really do anything. Just useless. He had some funny moments, I guess, but this character was useless. He made it way too far in the show. He should have been booted sooner. He was just here to be a prop for everybody. I thought during the pre-merge, I was thinking, like, is he gonna like have a villain run? Because how is he getting betrayed so much and just going along with it? No, he just doesn't really care. I do not like a character who just does not really care at all. Give me some drama, Richard. You had every reason to totally blow up this island, but you never did. You just sat around laughing, having a good time. This is a show, not a vacation. Whatever. The next boot was Natalia, and I thought she was hilarious. I do think she was a bit underserved in screen time, but whenever she did have screen time, she really stuck out to me. She really popped. She would get in a confessional, she would say some outrageous stuff, she'd make a pop culture reference, and I'd be cracking up. Like, okay, humorous queen. She was also a very messy strategist. Like, she got booted because she finally said, okay, I'm gonna make a move. She woke everything up. She tried to get everybody in on her plan, and they said, no, this is too messy. We just gotta get you out instead. I appreciated that she tried to take her shot, but it missed, so she left. I was sad to see her go, but she had the splashiest exit of the season. I appreciated that she was doing a reference in her final moments. Then she got the boot, and she was still funny, and she even came back in this finale episode, and she got to help Logan. She got to slap him across the face. She's the voice of the people. I can't wait to see her next season. Maybe I'll make a video about next season instead of like going too deep into my thoughts here. But I hope she does well. I really, really do like Natalia a lot. And I'm very curious to see what's next for her and how she's going to interact with Anastasia coming back, because they're rivals now. The next boot is Spencer. Spencer was a hot topic this season. He really made a name for himself when he took out Diego. Then he idled out Tristan. He kept the show interesting. He was a strategic force. He was also a bit of a villain. He teamed up with Linda for a moment, like when he switched teams. He was the villain of the season for a while. It all came crumbling down when Jade flipped on him, and I thought it was pretty interesting to see how that unfolded. I do think he took Jade for granted. I understood where Spencer was coming from, but I was not on his side, and I think that's what makes a good villain. He has some growing to do, but I hope he doesn't do too much growing, because keep the mess. I appreciate a little love triangle drama, all that. It's fun. What can I say? The gays love mess. I'm glad he got booted where he did, because if he stayed around, it would have just been the Spencer show, and him going allowed the opportunity for other characters to shine and for new dynamics to shake out. Because with Spencer there, the dynamics just grew stale, and it's like everybody's always going to be against Spencer. Hopefully he's able to get better integrated into next season instead of this again. No more outcast Spencer. Like, come on. Let's work on getting allies and keeping them. And honestly, for being such a force this season, so overall, I do like Spencer, and I'm excited to see him next season. I don't think I'm going to be actively rooting for him, but let's see what mess he shakes out. The next boot was Marissa. She was one of our returnees, so she got booted twice. This was her second boot. And both of her eliminations were the biggest moments for her because they were messy both times. First time she got betrayed by Linda. Second time Isabel made her and Anastasia go into this tiebreaker. Oh. The big thing with Marissa was her romance with Anastasia. I loved it. I was very much rooting for them in the pre-merge. I was very team Anastasia and Marissa. I was very sad to see Marissa leave. But I do love drama and mess, so if I had to choose between Anastasia and Marissa, I was happy Marissa left over Anastasia because Marissa was more loyal team player. But it worked for her, and she was still in drama via Anastasia. I was pleasantly surprised when she won the return challenge. I thought she was dead and gone. But no, she came back and she got back in the mix. She got right up with Anastasia again. They were running the show for a bit, but Isabel turned the tables. Honestly, I would have liked to see Marissa outlast Anastasia just because I feel like it's kind of been a trend for Disventure Camp where they'll have a person of color or a black character be paired up with a white character, and the white character will get to be more prominent. So I was hoping maybe we could get more balance. I didn't want to lose Anastasia because I think she is amazing TV and she gives us the drama and the mess, but I would like this trend to come to a close. I feel like Marissa could have been in the mess on a Let's Avenge Anastasia campaign. I think we could have gotten that from her still in the game. We did get a fair amount of solo Marissa content, which has me very satisfied and I feel does put her somewhat on equal footing with Anastasia in terms of pure character. Like, I really loved learning about her family life and how she was going to enroll in the military. She decided on the season that she wasn't going to. The auction scene where she got the call from her family, that was a really emotional moment, and I'm glad that got to play out. And I liked seeing her bond with these various people and how she handled betrayal. Like, she got right back in it with Linda. She was still icy to Isabel. And at the end of the season, her and Anastasia, they're run off together. Love. I hope moving forward, we give the black characters room to really shine on their own more. But that's not to say Marissa was a bad character. I think she was a great character. Truthfully, I think she was one of the better characters this season. Marissa is a very multifaceted character, and she deserves the credit for that. The next boot was Zayd. He was also most notably known for being in a swirl relationship. This time it was a straight relationship with Ivy, and he outlasted Ivy, so I guess that's a little better than Marissa. But is it though? Because honestly, he spent most of the time after Ivy was gone still being known as just Ivy's boyfriend. The show even made a joke about it. Wah wah. Zayd's the most underserved character of this season. I think there was room to do more with him. I wasn't craving more because, again, I'm not the biggest fan of the Vibe Tribe. I've made that known. But Zayd's shown that he's capable of being pretty messy. I think they could have done more with that. He's known to take things hard, and he's known to be a little petty. We did not utilize this enough. There was definitely room for more drama to come from Zayd. He did have a very dramatic elimination, It's pretty controversial, I believe. I'd have to agree that it's a bit of a mess. I appreciated it from a drama standpoint because, oh, what is going on here? Why are these people doing these things? Zayd was definitely a character who got sacrificed late in the game because they needed a boot. It happens. I'm not heartbroken by it. Again, Zayd wasn't my favorite character. But I think there were a lot of underutilized elements to Zayd. I think him and Hannah, their dynamic, could have been highlighted a bit more because they did not like each other at all. You could tell in their small interactions that there was a lot there that could have really been highlighted. And I think it would have made the merge a bit more interesting to give them both that subplot, but whatever. The main thing he had going on post Ivy was bonding with Anastasia, but again, I think that would have been a little more interesting if it was Ivy bonding with Anastasia as opposed to Zayd. And we see how that worked out for him. He got betrayed by her. He had a splashy episode in the Eliminated Contestants episode where he was still pretty mad about everything, and I respected it. You be bitter. You deserved it, because you got the most screwed over of everybody this season. He did nothing wrong. He just got screwed by Logan, which, I mean, you should have known better. Everybody's been getting screwed by Logan. So yeah, Zayd's not my favorite character. I don't think he was written to be anybody's favorite character. I would be open to seeing more of him, though. I think he has more to give. Not with Ivy, though. He never needs to be seen with Ivy again. At least on the show. They can do their separate appearances. Thank you. If I never see Zayd again, I won't be heartbroken, though. The next boot was Amelie, and this is hands down my favorite character of this season. She started out strong. She did not get along with her team at all. She knew she was better. Come on, wedding planner, successful businesswoman. Absolutely. She came on this show with her heels, her business outfit, her bob. She was not playing games. And her tribe wasn't ready for that, so she got the boot. She was the first person booted off of her tribe, or team. I was very sad to see her leave so soon because I was loving the mess she was giving, and her tribe and her team got a little stale after she left until Spencer got to work and said, nope, we're not making things uninteresting over here. But they needed Amelie. Amelie had a very respectful exit though. She took it on the chin. The only person she had any connection to on that team was Hannah. You know, Hannah was still there come merge. So what did Amelie do? She got to work. She said, I've got more to prove. And she won the comeback challenge. And she did not waste her return. As soon as she came back into the show, she got to work and she was playing the best game of everybody up until her elimination. She completely stole the show. She was the voice of reason amongst all this insanity and all this chaos. And even though she was the voice of reason, she still knew to give you a snippy line here and there, and she was still getting in drama and still getting advice because she's got to stand on business and remind everybody who's the boss. Her main plotline was the dynamic with Hannah, which very much got flipped on its head. It started out with Amelie being the closed off one, but when she came back, she was the open one, and Hannah was closed off upon Amelie's return. So Amelie was seeing a younger version of herself in Hannah and guiding her through that. It was interesting to see the evolution of Amelie throughout the season where she really evolved with this game and became a better person of herself. She showed the layers that she has as she realized she needed to. She proved that she could learn on the fly and evolve as is necessary to thrive in this game. She had her and Hannah playing both sides, her taking the Jade side even though her and Jade were feuding. She even got lucky and stumbled upon Logan, revealing that he flipped. She was using that as blackmail. Unfortunately, this led to her demise. It became too obvious that Amelie was in the best spot, so they flipped the script and it was an obvious boot for her once that episode came along. I do have some issues with how this played out. I think Amelie was a little dumbed down in her boot episode to prop up Logan, like in the challenge, where they had her totally failing when it's like, I thought we proved a few episodes ago that like she's very capable of anything. But then when they had her fail, they put Logan on it and Logan was sabotaging and Amelie didn't catch it. Sure, you could play it like she's in her head, but from what we've seen about Amelie, I think she would catch it. It just became too obvious. They were like, yeah, it's time to get rid of Amelie, so we got to do whatever we can to get rid of her. It wasn't her time, but that's how the boot order went, so they had to figure out a way to make it work. And then everybody flipped on her. I don't know, I just think Amelie showed herself to be such an active player. I think she could have caught on to this, but it just wasn't her time. And I think there were worse exits in the show, so it was fair, but it could have been better. We could have done better with Amelie here. The second exit just kind of felt like circling a drain. Like, again, Hannah's outlasting her, and she's propping up Hannah on her way out. So both the returnees this season were both kind of relegated to serving sidekick, although I'd say Amelie very much was able to stand on her own. But then she was taken out by Jade again, and we didn't really make a thing of that. Like, we could have propped up that rivalry a bit more between Jade and Amelie. We just didn't, though. I wish that would have got more focus because I thought it was very interesting. Even Amelie and Anastasia, we didn't see as much of their rivalry. Although they were like kind of like trying to get along as like fellow strategists. I don't know. I feel like she had so much potential to really get in with the dynamics of the people remaining at this point, but it just wasn't utilized properly. My dream scenario after Zayd went, I really wanted to see how an Anastasia, Jade, Amelie final three would shake out, because all of them I felt had the most dynamics with each other. Oh, but it wasn't meant to be. Oh well. I hope we see Amelie again. And she's pals with Emily now. Pals? She pitched Emily some ideas for next season, so she's still good with production, you know. Let's get Emily back on. I need another Amelie outing, and I need her to take home the crown. This is an icon, a legend. Absolutely. She is my favorite character from all the seasons. I could sing her praises all day. The next boot was Isabel. She came on as this nun, and of course that's going to catch your attention. Of everybody on this cast, Isabel is the face that you're immediately drawn to. Like, what are we doing here? So there's all sorts of speculation. You think, is she going to be a villain? Is she going to be a hero? They're going to play it serious? No, it's an in-between. She's not quite a villain, not quite a hero. She does some bad stuff. She's in the strategy, but she's still like a nice, cool girl. She's not mustache twirling evil or anything. I think my thing with Isabel is she wasn't really in the game much until she made her big move to get Marissa and Anastasia in the tiebreaker, which was a landmark moment of the season, yeah. But I wish she was playing a little more, and I guess her not playing as much allowed that moment to so take everybody by surprise. But I wish we could have seen her doing some more stuff behind the scenes before that moment. That's just a small nitpick though, because I really was enjoying her character. I can't say she's my favorite though, and especially after that, she immediately goes into wondering like, am I wicked? I wish she was able to lean into the villainy a bit more. I think this season could have used a little bit of that spice, but I also do appreciate that they didn't just make her a flat-out villain, and they added that layer of complexity. I wish we got to see more of her dynamic with Natalia too. She became so attached to Jade. I almost wish there was a bit of a push and pull where she had to like choose a side at one point or something, or I don't know. I just feel like there was a bit more there that we didn't quite mine all the potential out of. But yeah, she got tribe swapped in the pre-merge, and she was just buddied up with Jade for the rest of the season, and I liked their dynamic. They were a fun pair. I just wish both of them would have been a bit more involved in the game before the end game. I think Jade was a bit more involved, but Isabel, she really felt like a sidekick. The sidekick thing, it really took shape after Isabel's elimination when Jade flipped on her. And Isabel took it on the chin. She accepted that Jade did it for strategy. And I like that they were still to be friends after that. I do wish we saw a little bit more of a struggle from her though. She immediately went into rah rah rah, we gotta get Jade the win. It just seemed a little forced and a little try hard. I wish there would have been a bit of a complex struggle there where she's like, I still like Jade, but Jade did cost me the game. Overall, though, I think this was a modern take on a nun. It didn't absolutely tear down the Catholic religion and paint a nun as this evil, evil, villainous figure. But it showed that there is some nuance there. Isabel got thrown out by the Catholic Church. She's more modern. She's in the social media world. She's like doing her own thing. It was a very interesting spin on it. This was a great character, very unique. I would like to see more of her. But I think there were a few flaws that started to shine towards the end of the season. The next boot was Hannah, our fourth placer. She was a pretty big character on this season. She started off as this nice girl, this recruit who didn't know what she was signing up for. Then, bam, Amelie goes out, her best friend. Bam, Diego goes out, the guy she was bonding with next. Bam, just as she's becoming friends with Tristan, Tristan's gone. Bam, she loses Benji right at the merge. The Hannah curse is real. Hannah was losing all of her friends. We really got to see this game tear down Hannah in every way. The game broke her. She got Amelie back, and you'd think that would breathe some life back into her, but she was scared to really be friends with Amelie because she was so traumatized by the game and losing everybody. She came into the show still grieving her loss, her family loss. You understand it, but it's still like, girl, it's a game. And she was reminded, though, that it was a game, and that was part of her exit, where she was in a tiebreaker with Logan, and they both just started goofing off. I'll say I was a little annoyed at that. Like, we're playing a game here. I was on the side of Jade and Anastasia, where I'm like, really? We're about to win some money and you're doing this? Wow, costless. But it was fun. It was nice to see Hannah finally have some fun again, breathe some life back into her after she'd just been beaten down. I felt bad for her. It did start to seem a little overdramatic at some points, and it started to read as more comedic. Hannah was one of our most fully fleshed out characters from this season, and there was a lot to like about Hannah. I was disappointed to see her not make the final three, but where she ended, it definitely made sense for her character arc, and she had a great journey. I'd like to see her come back and not take things as serious. That brings us to the final three, which isn't all right final three. Our third placer was Anastasia. She got taken out by the jury. Anastasia was one of my favorites this season. I think she was very strong in the pre-merge. She had her Linda arc. She had her budding romance with Marissa. She was running the Girls Alliance. She had all that going for her. That's all stuff I loved. And she also divulged her devastating backstory. But yeah, Anastasia, she was our blonde bombshell. She was like our mean girl. She was all that stuff. That's all stuff I love. I eat up every time. So as long as it's done right, I'm gonna have a good time with it. We gotta have one of these characters every season. It's an iconic trope. But Anastasia, she was just so locked in the game. She was so in the drama. Anybody who did her wrong, she made sure to get on them for. She was there to play. She was a strategist. She is who I like to see. So when Marissa got booted, we get to see the woman scorned with Anastasia, where she's gonna light everybody on fire. She doesn't care anymore. And I thought that was a fun arc, and it was nice to see her have to explore different dynamics. Then we get the comeback where Marissa comes back, and I was excited to see Marissa, but I think this was a bit of a downer for Anastasia because she immediately lost a lot of the dynamics she'd been building up with Zayd, for example. She threw that aside. And I guess it makes sense for Anastasia's character. For when she cares for somebody, she just goes all out on them. And she viewed everybody else as more of an alliance, a means to an end. So even though it made sense, I started to not root for Anastasia anymore. I started to really go, oh, Amelie, yes. That's when I started to drift elsewhere. Then we get this Zayd elimination where she immediately takes Logan's word, despite knowing that he's been a total flip-flopper. And while I wasn't sad to see Zayd go, it was a bad look for Anastasia, and she looked a little hypocritical. And then when she found out the truth about Logan, she immediately forgave him. That, I guess it was supposed to show her growth, but I wish she didn't grow. I wish she let him have it. Oh well. I think a lot of it though, adding this jury twist at the end and announcing it so late, I think it stifled a lot of the drama at the end and made it a little messy. I wish that was announced a little sooner or wasn't announced at all, because it was just kind of used as an excuse at this point. But once I accepted that, I'm like, okay, Anastasia's grown, she's not going to be as petty as she once was. It was nice to see her put her stuff aside and work with Jade for a bit there. We got to see her get back in the mix a bit more towards the end of the season, which was fun. But then we get to the final 3 episode where it's more so everybody for themselves. And she's back at it, feuding with Jade again. But then we get to this jury segment, and truthfully, I thought Anastasia handled herself well. She just barely couldn't get enough votes, and she got cut right before the final 2. I was disappointed. I would have liked to see Anastasia in that final 2. But you know what? She's moving on to the next season. I'm very excited for that. And we got the scene in the finale of her in the woods really crying and really being like, wow, all this hard work I put in, all this betrayal and everything caught up to me. And Marissa came and comforted her. It was really sweet. Overall, Anastasia is who I was rooting for out of the final 5. But I'm satisfied with where she ended up, and I hope she crushes it next season. The second placer this season is Jade. Jade is our strategist of the season. I think she was often the narrator of the season. Jade is quite a conflicting character. I enjoyed her to start. I don't think she has the flashiest personality. That's very intentional though. I wouldn't call her boring, but her presence isn't always the most exciting. She's a game bot. She is there to game. That might make good drama unintentionally, that might make entertainment unintentionally, but it might also be boring because she's just doing what's best for her game. And I very much respect that. I found myself rooting for Jade a lot at certain times in the season. I, of course, was originally Team Amelie in the Amelie-Jade thing, but I never hated Jade. I respected it, and I saw where she was coming from in all of this. Now, Amelie read her number. She knew that Jade was a smart one immediately. But we immediately see Jade buddying up with Spencer, and Spencer was the drama of that team as well. But she knew he was smart, and she needed somebody smart to bounce off of. Now, she traded Spencer for Isabel when they switched teams, and that allowed for Isabel to slip into Spencer's spot, and when they reunited at the merge, Jade ultimately chose Isabel because Spencer was too unreliable. That led for some interesting drama, but they had a respectful exit when Spencer left. The big moment of the season for Jade ultimately ends up being when she leaves Logan to die at the first merge challenge. And I say it's the biggest moment because that's what we circle back to for the final two dynamic, where it's Jade versus Logan. This was a big turning point for Jade where she realized, oh, this is more than a game. People are in the game. While it is ultimately a game, there are people and their lives are at stake, and she would have let him die. And that is quite a conflicting thing to experience for Jade, because she doesn't want him to die, but she also is there to win money. I don't like how this situation was handled. I think they brought it back up at the final three and had it revealed to Logan there. But then the episode after, when Jade survives, he immediately brushes it under the rug. I think if we were going to handle it at all, we should have handled it sooner and just had it be done and over with, and they could have been friends during the finale like they were anyway, instead of just an immediate brush under the rug. I think that's my thing with Jade. I think there were a lot of interesting elements with her, like the Jade versus Amelie of it all, the Jade Spencer Isabel dynamic, the Jade and Logan dynamic, the Jade struggling with personal relationships of it all. I just don't think any of it was really fleshed out enough. Like, if they're gonna really have it be a struggle for Jade to survive at this final three, and she just barely beat that jury vote, why just a few episodes ago was she winning an immunity challenge, which was all about knowing people? I don't know. There was a lot of stuff with Jade that I don't really think happened on screen as much as it did off screen. I think she could have used some more scenes. We could have seen her interacting with more of these people, or we could see her not interacting with these people and actually make that a point, and she survives the jury vote just out of respect for her game. It just felt like we were riding the fence a lot with Jade. We wanted this drama from her, but we're not going to get this drama from her. It's just going to be quickly brushed under the rug once we get what we need out of it. That's what happened with the Jade Logan of it all. It got Anastasia to spice up the episode, but when we were sick of telling that story, oh, Logan frees you. He was boo-hooing the night before. And then ultimately in this finale, after all season, we see Jade playing a good game. She was the strategist. She is not rewarded for that. She doesn't win. And it was underwhelming. It's not a satisfying end for Jade at all. And I wish they did give her a satisfying end here, because truthfully, I don't really want to see her character back. Even though I like her character in this season, she's not the most entertaining personality, so I'm not clamoring for more. But now that she got so screwed in this final two, and she's left on a pretty lame ending, it's like, well, now I kind of need to see her back so she can get a little justice. It just would have worked so much better if she just won here and she could ride off into the sunset, but no. So overall, I think Jade was a great character on this season, and I liked following the season through her eyes for a good chunk of it. I think there was plenty of room for improvement, and I think some stronger choices could have been made with her character instead of being on the fence so much. But overall, I view her character positively. But now it's just going to be a stain of, oh, why'd she lose? That's what you're going to think of when you think of Jade. Oh, she should have won. And on to the actual winner, Logan. Logan is a hot mess, let's say that. He started the season out as one thing, he ended the season as another. Logan came into the show, he immediately had an identity crisis. We see him question his sexuality. We see him question his swimming. We see him be so insecure about everything. And it was interesting to watch his spiral. But nothing really came of it because he was rewarded for any of his spiraling behavior in the end by ultimately getting a victory. I think Logan was an interesting character throughout the season. He unintentionally stirred up a lot of mess by constantly switching sides, never being loyal to anybody, not even being loyal to himself, quite frankly. Logan was the true villain of the season in a lot of ways, but the narrative framed him like a hero. He is a nice guy. I'm sure outside of the show he's lovely, but in the show he was a hot mess and he never got comeuppance for it. And the show usually has sound narratives. Like even last season when Rhea won, the villain, she did not leave the show happy necessarily, but Logan, he is getting rewarded despite causing so many eliminations and doing so many terrible things, and he never really owned the things. That's the issue too. He would do these things and then try to hide his hands. He didn't live in his villainy, so I'm not satisfied with where we sit with Logan. Even though I find him an entertaining character on the season, I'm not satisfied with his ending here. Honestly, even in the finale though, there were parts of me that was enjoying watching him, and even his final move, jumping out of the running ambulance, it was amusing, but it would have also been amusing if he was just cutting it short and he could have had a moment like, well, I'm not bronze, but I'm silver. I'll get up to my gold one day, you know? That could have been a comeuppance, like him accepting that not everything works out for him. But no, everything does work out for him. That's the moral of the story here. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll say I don't think Logan was well utilized within the season, but the character himself is amusing, is compelling. I do like Logan, but I still think he's the worst winner of the show, which is wild for me to say because here I am saying, wow, this is the season I've been recommending to everybody, and I feel like this is the best season of them all, and they've really found their footing. Yet here I am, like, the winner's the worst part of the season. Wow. You know, and to rub salt in the wound on Logan winning, this season had the final 6 being 5 women and 1 guy, and the 1 guy won. That is very disappointing. I hate to see that. Who wants to see that? Not anybody I know. No, like, let's give the girls their win. I could go into his character dynamics. He had plenty. They were all somewhat compelling, but he was never loyal to any of them, really, for me to care about any of them. His most recent one was Hannah. That's who he left the season paired up with. And, like, it was a cute moment, sure, but I'm not going to be heartbroken if they, like, break up. I hope if either of them returns for another season, they're broken up. Let's just pair them off with somebody else. But, like, cute fling. His pairing with Spencer, that was cute. Of course, it could never go anywhere because they're both a hot mess. Like, no. Nobody needs to touch Spencer right now, quite frankly. Who doesn't love a little, like, bi panic? Yes. Have your whole life crash apart because you realized you like a guy. It's fun. Even his dynamic with Jade, though, where he was, like, cool with her after what he did to her, and he was, like, crying the night before. It's just, make up your mind on something. Like, I get that's kind of the point with Logan. He doesn't make up his mind on stuff, but at some point, it's just exhausting. Like, it's exhausting trying to figure Logan out. I cannot go into detail on him because it would just wear me out. I feel like I could say so much more on both Jade and Logan, but I'm kind of just over it. Like, I don't really want to talk about them anymore. I just want to be like, okay, it was a fun season. The ending was kind of a mess. Even the finale episode, it was, like, good. Just not the outcome, but the rest of it was good. That's, like, I just kind of want to brush it under the rug and be like, okay, this is just something we gotta deal with here. Oh, it was a fun journey, even though the destination was not that great. That's what I'll say. But overall, I think this season knocked it out of the park. And maybe there are a few episodes here and there where I was kind of just like, okay, we're going through the motions here, we're stretching it a little bit. But I'm happy to have a full 26 episode season. I'll take more when I can get it. I enjoyed it. I appreciated it. I think this will be a season that holds up well on rewatches. If I could give some constructive criticism, I think the few things I would say are make sure the characters' actions are consistent above all else. I really don't think every single character on every season needs to have all the complexities in the world in said season. Some characters can serve a very basic purpose, and that is just fine. I think the tone could be worked on more. It can be a drastic shift between comedy, drama, and emotions. I would like some more comedy and fun. I would like a little less of the outside trauma. Sometimes I think it's okay for a character to not come in with the most dramatic backstory and to still have a dramatic season of stuff that goes down in the season. I don't care about this character's interaction with their cousin at the age of 12. But I very much do care about how they were slighted by somebody in the immunity challenge and now they're going to use that to get their revenge. Like, let's have stuff focused more on the game. Some people can have their backstories from outside of the game, and their outside life can inform some game stuff. Like, obviously, it informs their personality, but it shouldn't be too relevant for too many characters. The animation, keep doing what you're doing. I'm not an animation professional, but I can see how the show is improving and evolving, and I think it looks very gorgeous. So I just want to say that. I would also advise against doing any more guys versus girls. I love an all-girl alliance, but it doesn't need to include everybody. If we're gonna do that again, let's just keep it to like 3 girls. We don't need everybody. That's been done to death. I'm sure I have other little nitpicks, but I think I'll just leave it at that. I'm very excited for next season. I'm very excited for the remake of season 2. I'm very excited for Tom Jake season 2. I'm excited for anything else that comes out of here. And I think it is very inspiring to see indie animation thrive. It's not perfect, but I really do enjoy seeing what's coming out here. So hopefully I'll be back to talk about it again. There's plenty to discuss, clearly. Like, they're dropping all sorts of stuff. Like, props to you. So until next time, bye.